Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of In the Corner. I'm Cash. Today we have episode 132. It's February 20th, and we have got a fantastic weekend of combat sports lined up yet again. Last couple weeks have been a little bit more quiet, especially last week, but this weekend we are back big time. The UFC is in Houston with a great fight night card. You've got the Leigh Josh Warrington rematch in Nottingham, I'm pretty sure. You have Claressa Shields back in action on Sunday, but most importantly tomorrow we have another Ring Magazine card at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas as Ryan Garcia is going to challenge Mario Barrios for his WBC welterweight championship. And let's just talk about this fight because this really is Ryan Garcia's last chance. I mean, I say that, and it's probably not his last chance realistically. But this is very much a must-win for him. He has not recorded a win since 2023, which was over Oscar Duarte, who's in the co-main event, who we'll talk about as well. But since then, it was the fight with Devin Haney, which was, obviously his mental state was all over the place. Nobody thought he was going to win that fight. And then he comes in, he beats up Devin Haney after coming in overweight, and then we find out he had Austrian in his system. That win becomes a no contest, and then takes a year out of the ring because he was banned, actually by the WBC, and then comes back in and fights Rolly Romero, gets a world title shot there, which he doesn't really deserve, and a lot of people can even say he may not even have deserved the title shot against Haney. I think that was okay. He fights Rolly Romero for a WBA regular title. Looks terrible at Times Square, just completely lethargic. Treated it like a sparring session and kind of let Rolly coast to victory. He gets dropped hard in the second round. Has no, want to kill. And we'll talk about his mind state in that fight as opposed to this one. And now he comes in here, gets Mario Barrios coming off of a loss in a no contest. Again, almost a year out of the ring. And he gets another title shot. And it just doesn't really make any sense, right? Meanwhile, Mario Barrios, he hasn't looked great either. He hasn't recorded a win since 2024, and in fact, early 2024. That was his first fight. Second fight, he draws with Abel Ramos, has one fight last year against Manny Pacquiao. Yes, the 47-year-old Manny Pacquiao, where he has a draw in that fight. Most people think that he lost it, and here he is. And so we have a world title fight between two guys who are combined, I think, 0-1-2 and one no contest, and their last four fights, combined since like May 2024, which is just crazy, But yeah, literally one win combined between them in the last 2.5 years, and they're fighting for a world title fight on a pay-per-view headlining Las Vegas. Anyways, this is a must-win for Ryan Garcia. He needs to get his career back on track. He is the superstar. He's got the good looks. He's got the quick hands. He's got the powerful left hook. But he's not been able to win a world title. This is his third chance in a row. And he's come up short the last two times in one way or another. I think that the Devin Haney fight, he was not in a good state mentally, but he was able to put in a good performance, and then that gets taken away. And then the Rolly fight, I think that Ryan needs a little bit of crazy in him. He had too much with Devin Haney, and then he had too little with Rolly, where everyone thought, wow, he's in such a good spot. But then we kind of realized, maybe Ryan needs to have a little bit. He needs that crazy fire behind him, kind of like Deontay Wilder. If Deontay Wilder doesn't have that spark in him, and he's more relaxed and stuff, he loses that fire. It's the same thing that Tank Davis talked about why he wants to retire, is because he wants to go to therapy, but he knows that going to therapy, he's going to lose his fire, and he needs his fire to fight, which makes sense in a way. So I think that Ryan lost that fire a little bit with Rolly. But it seems like he has it back here. He was a little bit crazier at the first press conference yesterday. He was very quiet, but it was a quiet confidence. It wasn't him. He felt very normal ahead of the Rolly fight, which was strange. Here, he still feels a little bit more Ryan, a little bit more wild, more of a character, more social media. But he seemed to – it was a quieter and a more Tyson Fury kind of way, where he's putting on a character on purpose. He's not actually this quiet Artur Beterbiev kind of person. He's more Tyson Fury, where he's like, I'm not going to speak, and he's doing it all for the show. So I think that I'm picking Ryan to win the fight. I do think that Mario Barrios is probably boxing's worst world champion right now, and I say that while also acknowledging that he is a good fighter, he's going to have a significant weight advantage and size advantage over Ryan tomorrow night. We already saw the face-off. He's a lot bigger, and he's more comfortable at this weight class. Ryan does have a susceptibility to get hit and get dropped, and Barrios is possible to drop people. He has power. He's only lost to the likes of Gervonta Davis and Keith Thurman, of which Gervonta Davis also is a win over Ryan Garcia. So I'm going to pick Ryan because I think that if the very best version of Ryan Garcia shows up, he beats Mario Barrios. He should be able to. The best Ryan Garcia. The question is that that best version of Ryan Garcia, does he still exist? Did he ever exist in the way that we need him to win a world title? I don't know. But if he does win a world title, like, my goodness, that's crazy. I mean, think about the fights that are there for him. Devin Haney rematch, unified world championship, Shakur Stevenson moving up, or them meeting at a catchweight. I don't know. And the same thing with Mario Barrios. I mean, this is his second pay-per-view headliner in a row. Before that, he was on Netflix. I think the 2 fights before that, he was like co-main event to Canelo. He's headlined. This is his 4th time he's headlining a pay-per-view. Like, the guy is not a very big name, but he's been in huge opportunities. And if he gets a win over Ryan Garcia, which this could be his biggest, fight yet, I mean, a lot of opportunities for him too. So I think Ryan Garcia wins it. I honestly can see a Ryan Garcia stoppage in this fight in the later rounds if the best version of Ryan shows up, and something about it tells me that a very good version of him is coming. I can also see Barrios beating him on points. I can. But I'm going to pick Garcia by stoppage. We'll see if I'm right. I don't know. But let's talk about this undercard co-main event. We alluded to it. Richardson Hitchens is going to be defending his IBF super lightweight title against Oscar Duarte. I think this is an awesome fight. I think it's a great matchup of, boxer versus puncher. Hitchens is a guy who a lot of people have criticized being boring and not having a lot of power. He does have power, and when he's able to turn it on and make it a fight like he did against Camposos, it's exciting, and he gets the stoppages. You just can't do that with everyone. And I think that is going to have to be the game plan against a guy with Oscar Duarte, who his whole style is Mexican forward pressure. He's just going to come and he's going to try and bang with you. And Hitchens is a much smarter and slicker boxer than that. And I think that he should be able to outbox Duarte. I see him winning a decision and it being fairly wide, maybe like 8-4, 9-3. I see that. I also see Oscar Duarte making this a scrap. Maybe he can hurt Hitchens. I don't know. It's a really, really interesting, fun fight. They had the best moment of the press conference where Hitchens just says, like, Oscar, I would love to bet with you. And Duarte just goes, shut the fuck up, pussy. And it was the funniest thing ever. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a fun fight. I have Hitchens winning by decision. Before that, Gary Antoine Russell makes the first defense of his WBA super lightweight title against Andy Hiraoka. Hiraoka is a guy who has been waiting on this title shot for a while. He's on a fairly strong win streak. I mean, he's undefeated. Why did I think that? Oh, wait, no. He has beaten Jin Sasaki. I thought Jin Sasaki beat him a couple years back. It was the other way around. Yeah, so he's got a win over Jin Sasaki. Other than that, not a lot of great world-level wins. Ismael Barroso is who he won the WBA interim belt off of, and that was in 2024 in September. He hasn't fought since then, so it's been almost a year and a half out of the ring with him. Like I said, though, he is an undefeated guy. He's fighting Gary Antoine Russell, who has had to go to the decision last 2 fights. I mean, he dominated Valenzuela. Before that, it was a close loss to Alberto Puello. And I don't know if we haven't really seen the best version of Gary Russell. I thought that he looked fantastic against Valenzuela, but also he didn't stop him. I think that I'm picking Russell to win this fight, and it's largely because of the activity. Hiraoka has not fought in forever. Granted, it's almost been a year since Russell fought, but he's a guy who seemed to have been okay fighting, fairly inactive. And then for another reason, Hiraoka just arrived in Vegas on, I think, Wednesday night. That's a 17-hour time difference from Japan. That's not good. You usually want to show up about 2 weeks early. He had some visa issues. There was a lot of worry this week he wouldn't even be able to make it to fight night. A lot of worries he wouldn't be able to get into the country. Thankfully, he is here. The fight is going on, but you have to think that's going to play into it. We saw Martin Bacoli when he fought Joseph Parker. Granted, that was also with no fight camp, but he was coming in and got to the fight like 20 hours earlier before we made the walk. I think it was like even less than that. Again, a little bit of a different story because that's 20 hours. That's not 3.5 days, but still, that's not optimal for a fight. So I'm picking Russell to beat him. I just don't think that we're going to be able to get the best version of Hirooka. That's all it is. I don't. The best version of Hirooka, maybe he's more competitive. I don't know. But I'm picking Russell to win. I don't know if he gets the stoppage. Hirooka has never even been beaten, so I have to think he's going to put in a pretty good fight. And like I said, Russell has not gotten a stoppage in his last couple fights. Before that, he stopped everyone, so we'll see. Frank Martin is back. He's fighting Nahir Albright on the card. This is a fun one. Nahir Albright coming off a great win over Kelvin Davis. Frank Martin, in his comeback in December, knocked out Rances Barthélemy in round 4, one of the knockouts of the year. So he's coming off a lot of momentum. Nahir Albright coming off a good win as well. Obviously, I'm picking Frank Martin to win this fight. Albright got this opportunity off of that, but I don't think he's going to do much in terms of beating Frank Martin. I don't know if Frank Martin stops him. It's possible, but I definitely think Frank beats him. Before that, Bektimir Melikuziev returns. He's going to be fighting Sina Agbeko in a 10-rounder. Melikuziev coming off the win over Darius Fulgham. I believe he's ranked like number 1 with the WBA at 168. I don't really like this fight. I feel like Agbeko is a pretty big step down in competition for Melikuziev. He's just kind of waiting for his title shot, and I very much see him winning this fight, potentially even inside the distance. I think Agbeko got stopped by David Morrell in like 1 round. Yeah, so definitely Melikuziev there. Amari Jones fights on the prelims. He's going to be fighting Luis Arias, who's 22, 6-1. He's lost 3 of his last 5 fights. I think this is a step up in competition overall for Amari Jones. I think it's his second scheduled 10-rounder, but he should be able to beat him. And then Joshua Edwards as well, another Golden Boy prospect, heavyweight prospect. He's really exciting to watch. He's going to be on the prelims, as is Muhammad Al-Akel, of course, from Saudi Arabia. Should be a really good card. I'm excited for it. Now we move over to Houston, UFC Fight Night. Huge middleweight main event. Sean Strickland, everyone's least favorite jabber, is back. He's fighting Anthony Hernandez. He's had a hell of a press week. It's been a PR disaster for Paramount, I'm sure. They've been like, oh my gosh, like, what is this guy saying? We all know how Sean Strickland is. But he is a potential title shot here if he wins. Fluffy Hernandez, though, wins this. I think he's on an 8-fight win streak right now. He wins this. It's hard to not put him in position for a title shot, really, either of them. Obviously, Sean Strickland would just be off a 1-fight win streak, but he's also one of the biggest names in the division. He and Hamzat have a big rivalry. That would be a big build-up for a fight. You could even do it at the White House. Sean's trying to get on that card, I'm sure. Sure they would love to have him. He's the exact kind of person that I think Trump would like to have on the White House, and you know what I mean? And then my only issue is that Nasruddin Imavov, I feel like he's been deserving of that title shot for almost 6 months. I mean, Hamzat fought in August. Imavov fought in September. Why have they not fought already? I'm really not liking how inactive Hamzat's going to be as a champion. I know he had to do some surgery, but it's like, come on, man. You're holding the belt. You need to defend it. I think Imavov deserves it off of his wins. I mean, the Kaio and Israel Adesanya wins last year speak for themselves. I'm a little bit worried they'll just give it to the winner of this fight, but I hope Imavov gets it. But, I mean, like, look, I wouldn't be surprised if either winner of this gets put into a good position. Anyways, who I think wins, I'm going to pick Fluffy. I just think that Sean Strickland has been very not – ever since that Izzy win, I feel like he hasn't been the same, meaning that like he hasn't – that was a fantastic performance. And then the DDP, the first fight was very competitive but didn't do enough. And then the Paulo Costa win, he dominated him, but it was just so boring, you know. And then the DDP rematch, I mean, he just had no urgency at all, no will to win, just sparred the whole time. And when you have a guy in there like Fluffy, who is as explosive and crazy and violent as he is, I don't think you're going to be able to do your whole jabbing thing. I think that Fluffy's going to bring the fight to him, and I think that Fluffy's riding off way better momentum, way better activity, and I think that he's got better grappling. For sure, we know Sean Strickland has no grappling. So, yeah, I think Anthony Hernandez beats him. But this really could go either way. It is a very close fight. I have Hernandez winning like 60-40% in my head. Co-main event, Jeff Neal fights Uros Medish. This is a fight that the UFC is just putting on because they know it's going to be a guaranteed banger. I don't think Medish has ever been the distance, win or lose, which is always a good sign. I don't know if he beats Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal, you know, again, he's coming off not the best in. Obviously, just got elbow knocked out by Carlos Praches. This is really a litmus test for Medish to show, okay, Are you ready to join the top 15? And if he beats Jeff Neal, then it's like, holy, because he's going to stop him. Either that or Neal's going to stop Marish. So I don't really know who's winning, but I know it's going to be a banger, and it will not go the distance. Another, opportunity for a guy to enter the rankings. Melquizael Acosta is fighting Dan Ige. Ige is number 14. I think he's lost 3 of his last 4. I think he was kind of like big broing Melky, saying, I don't really know who you are. Melky's off a 5-fight win streak. 4 of those came in 2025 alone. I have to think that he's going to ride the momentum, and I think he's going to beat Dan Ige with how exciting he's been to watch. That last head kick KO over Morgan Charrier was fantastic. Ante Delias fights Sergey Spivak. I think that if everything Tom Aspinall is saying is true, Delias should be able to beat him. And also it's just like, if he's able to keep this standing up, I think it shouldn't be an issue. Striking-wise, gets down on the floor. Maybe Spivak has the advantage, but I think Delia beats him. Jacoby Smith, Josiah Harrell, both undefeated guys. And this is Harrell's UFC debut, and he had some brain tumor or something that prevented him from debuting in the past, and now he's been undefeated since then, and he's getting a UFC title shot. So it'd be a hell of a story, but I am picking Jacoby Smith to win that. I think he's a pretty big favorite. Michel Pereira, I believe this is his retirement fight against Zach Reese. I think he said that. And that's never a good sign to me. See, before I was unsure of who to pick because Michel Pereira says he's retiring. And even though I don't think Zach Reese is, a top tier middleweight, I'm going to pick Zach Reese because if you're not going to win beforehand and you're saying that, it's not showing a ton of confidence. Prelims should be fun. Chidi Njokuani versus Carlos Leal. Kind of fun. Ode Osborne in a must-win against Alibi. Idiris, I don't know if he gets that. Top 15 fight, a bantamweight between Nora Cornell and Jocelyn Edwards. I think Jocelyn Edwards coming off 2 KO wins, so that should be fun. I mean, it's a pretty solid fight night card. Not the best, but really good fights on the main card and a fantastic main event. Looking forward to it. The first roadshow fight night of the new Paramount Plus era. Moving back over to boxing in the UK, Leigh Wood, Josh Warrington 2. Really, really interesting fight. This is a rematch of the fight that happened in October 2023. It was then for the WBA featherweight world title. Leigh Wood defended. He was down on, I think, every judge's scorecard against Warrington, and then round 7 knocks him out. So definitely one of the come from behind victories of that year. Since then, Wood has only fought once. He fought in 2025 against Anthony Cacace and got stopped there, and that was a war. And then Warrington has fought twice. He got dominated by Cacace in 2024, and then in 2025 had a decision win over Asad Asif Khan, who, that was definitely just a warm-up fight for something like this, even though that was almost a year ago. So neither of these guys have been very active or in good form at all since that rematch. It's weird. Then it was for a world title. Now it feels like they're just loser retires, and I think that's where it has to be. As for who I think is going to win, I have to pick Leigh Wood in my head. Not only because he won the first fight, but also because we know the power is the last thing to go. Even though Leigh Wood is coming off a loss, it's to Anthony Cacace, who is the guy right now. And I actually think Wood was very competitive for a lot of that fight, where Warrington was not competitive at all with Anto Cacace. So I'm going to pick Leigh Wood to win it. I don't know if he stops him this time. It really could go either way. It should be a very fun bloodbath. They've got a huge rivalry, but I think Leigh Wood gets it done. And I really think both of them should retire. Co-main event, Ishmael Davis defends his British and Commonwealth titles he just won against Bilal Fawaz, who is, of course, the new English champion off of his win over Junaid Boston. This should be a really fun fight. I mean, both of these guys are coming off great performances and great fights themselves. I'm very, very curious to see what Bilal Fawaz brings to the table. I think that he's actually going to test Ishmael Davis, and I think he's got a lot of good momentum. I think that he'll be able to win a few rounds, but at the end of the day, I do have to pick Ishmael Davis. I think that he is just a little bit of level ahead of Bilal Fawaz. I think Fawaz is good at that English level. Ishmael Davis is British level and has even gone to world level once or twice and had, won a few rounds against Josh Kelly and didn't do great against Boachuk, but, almost beat Josh Kelly, I think, on one of those scorecards. So, I think Ishmael Davis beats him. Sandy Ryan goes down in weight for another world title shot. She fights Carla Zamora. I mean, Sandy Ryan herself is 8-3-1. Not a great record, but Zamora is 12-10-2, which is very not good. So I definitely think Sandy Ryan beats her, probably even stops her. She's got a lot of power. Other than that, You got Dave Allen back. I think he's fighting in an 8-rounder against Kareem Bergen, who's also 12 wins and 10 losses. He should be able to get a stoppage there. At least I hope so. And then move on to a big fight next, whoever that is. Leo Tang is back. TMA 8-in is back. Molly McCann. This is a really fun matchroom card. I'm looking forward to it. And then Sunday in Detroit, you've got the return of the GWO, Claressa Shields. She rematches Franchon Crews-Dezurn, who I thought was her friend. But now they've been, talking back and forth a lot. They both fought each other in their pro debuts. Of course, Claressa Shields won that. It was only one of Crews-Dezurn's only 2 losses. The other one, of course, comes to one Savannah Marshall. This is for the undisputed heavyweight championships. So big fight. And a big name for Claressa Shields to fight. I have no doubt that she beats Crews-Dezurn again, though. I think that she will win every round. I didn't even think that Franchon won her last fight. I thought that was a huge robbery. So I definitely think Claressa beats her this time. Co-main event is Atif Ulberg, who is undefeated, 14-0 light heavyweight, 12 wins by knockout. He's fighting Joseph George, who is 13-1 with 8 wins by knockout. I don't know who either of these guys are, but they're co-main event over 2 other world title fights, women's title fights, but still. So, okay, we'll see it. I'm guessing Oberlton will win. And then you've also got Shay Kennelly. She defends her WBA light heavyweight title against Danielle Perkins, who is coming off a loss to Claressa Shields herself. That's a good matchup. I think if Kennelly wins that, she'll be in line to fight Claressa Shields. So I think Kennelly probably beats Perkins. And then Samantha Worthington, I think this is her first defense of the WBA interim 140 title against Edith Matisse. So you got that on the main card as well as Price Taylor, who fights James Evans, who's 9-2. So we'll see. Price Taylor's been a weird prospect. He was knocking everyone out before they put him on TV, and now he's just kind of going the distance in a heavyweight slop. So we'll see. And then there is also another card tonight, another Caribe Royale fight card. I'm really mainly going to watch it for Denier the Fear Pero, who is a very exciting heavyweight prospect. He had a close call last time. It was he fought in January. I didn't even know about that. And he had a second-round knockout in Philly. Before that, he fought Cesar Navarro, headlining an MVP card, and that was a really fun fight where he almost got stopped in like the second or third round and then was able to go the distance and get a win. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. Alex Pereira is headlining that card against Rodrigo Correa. All right, moving on from there, let's talk about some news. It is apparently, we're hearing that Jiri Prochazka versus Carlos Ulberg is not rumored, but it's reporting to be set and agreed upon and official for UFC 327 on April 11th in Miami, Florida. That has been the rumor for a while, that these two are fighting for the vacant light heavyweight championship. Alex Pereira posted yesterday that he is 243 pounds or 110 kilos. So I don't think, and he also says that he has a fight announcement coming soon. If he has a fight announcement coming soon, I don't think that he's starting camp that heavy. I think that he will already be trying to cut down. I think that he is going to be fighting a heavyweight next. Some people are saying, he's fighting Cyril Gane for the interim at 328 in May. I don't think that's happening that soon. I think he'll probably be at the White House, but I do think that he is going to fight Cyril Gane for the interim heavyweight championship. With Tom Aspinall already being out for 4 months, and we don't have a timeline for when he'll be back, I think it is time to do an interim championship, keep the division moving, and then you have Poatan there waiting for him if he gets past Gane, which I think he will. As for this fight, it's amazing. I mean, these are the two guys we were debating who gets the title shot. And if Pereira's moving up, okay, perfect. You have the fight right there. It's a great fight, and I think it's a good headliner for Miami. We're hearing that Joshua Van Taturo Tyra could be co-main event on that. I mean, 2 title fights on one card in the Paramount Plus era, that would be unheard of. I would love it. So if that is the plan, let's do it. I'm excited. Conor McGregor tweets and deletes yet again that he's accepted a fight offer, says he's accepted the opponent and the date, and wants the UFC to send the contract. So I think that is kind of a negotiation tactic with the UFC, putting it out there, and then deleting it, but everybody saw it. He knows the game. But putting it out there that I'm ready for the fight. Let's just get those terms agreed. So now they're like, all right, well, it's not like we can just tell them, no, that's too much money. Nobody will know we ever said no. Now they're going to know if the UFC decides, this is too much money, we're not going to do it. He's going to be like, well, you guys saw I accepted the fight. And then it's going to look like the UFC skimped out and didn't want to pay him, or didn't want to overpay him. So hopefully McGregor does fight on the White House. I think it would be awesome if he came back. But again, it's just all on borrowed trust if he actually will. Meanwhile, Islam Makhachev confirmed he's not fighting Ilya at the White House. I don't understand why that's any surprise to anyone. I did not at all think they were going to fight at the White House. I would have loved it, but it's just not going to happen. I don't know if it ever happens, or at least not for a while. They both just moved up and need to make defenses. They've got a long line of contenders waiting for them. They're not going to fight each other for a while. I don't think they're going to allow Ilya to move up to 170 until he's gotten through like at least 3 or 4 guys at 155. Matchroom Boxing and Eddie Hearn announced a 5-year extension of their DAZN deal. So it's going to go until 2031. This is obviously fantastic news for boxing. I think Matchroom and DAZN is one of the best partnerships in the sport right now. They do the most amount of shows together. And in a world in boxing where it feels like almost nobody has a good TV deal, I mean, Top Rank has not had a TV deal for 6 months. Golden Boy currently does not actually have a TV deal with DAZN. They're trying to renew. They're doing one-off shows one at a time, but no actual deal. PBC does have a deal with Prime Video, but it's only a few shows a year, and they're mostly pay-per-view. It's not a legit TV deal. You've got Boxer, who is on the BBC for, I think it's only for a year. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that they said it was a multi-year deal. And even then, it's not a ton of shows and not great quality of shows. And then Queensberry, of course, also has a good deal with DAZN and Zuffa Boxing on Paramount. And then you have the guys like MVP, but MVP does not have an actual TV deal. So it feels like nobody in boxing is getting good TV deals, really. So this is great for Matchroom to stay on DAZN and not have to go back to Sky Sports or anything like that where they lose their global positioning. This is great. They also confirmed that they signed a multi-year deal with Foxtel Australia, who's obviously owned by DAZN, where they will do 8 shows a year on Kayo Sports and Foxtel in 2026. Or I think actually 7 they said for this year, but 8 shows a year across Fox Sports Australia, Kayo Sports, whatever, that whole, brand. I just hope that those events are also broadcast on DAZN outside of Australia, because the No Limit cards are on those platforms and then they're not put on DAZN. And even when they are, they're only put on DAZN in New Zealand, which is a huge pain. So hopefully, it's actually going to be worldwide on DAZN outside of those territories. Speaking of Eddie Hearn, he's mentioned that the Anthony Joshua return is being planned for July, and that they're eyeing the Tyson Fury fight now for early 2027. And that is just such a bummer. It feels like nothing is going to allow this fight to happen. Everything gets in the way. And when I hear stuff like this, it really makes me wonder, is it ever even going to happen? It makes me lose faith because, look, it's nobody's fault. I mean, Fury retired, and then he comes back, and then right when it seems like it's going to align again, AJ has this tragic accident. I mean, him even coming back in July, I think is pretty remarkable that he's going to be back so soon. But I guess he doesn't want to go straight into the Fury fight, or at least Fury may not be ready by July if he's fighting in April. So I get it. I would rather AJ honestly just wait until September or October and fight Fury then, if I'm being completely honest. But it is what it is. Hopefully they still are able to make that fight. But it's just dude, it was meant to happen in 2025, then 26, then 27. I mean, he was even supposed to happen in 2014, I think. It's just unsure if it'll ever happen. Virgil Ortiz has filed a motion of opposition to Golden Boy's temporary restraining order in order just to move forward with the Boots Ennis fight. I mean, I kind of hope he wins this, because it's dude, can we please just get this fight settled? All this legal stuff is ridiculous. It is holding everything up. Why can we not just make this shit happen? So I'm on Team Virgil here. Yeah, file a motion in opposition. Say, hey, can we stop this? Can we just make the fight? Golden Boy is literally holding it up just because they're not going to be the ones potentially putting it on, and it's just being a huge pain for everyone. We just got to get the fight done, please. Keyshawn Davis said that he is not going to be paying any sanctioning fees with a potential move to welterweight, saying superstars don't need belts. I guess, bro. I see what he's saying. I mean, he's friends with Shakur and Bud and all that, and so that whole group is honestly helping Zuffa Boxing so much by pushing their whole no sanctioning fees model. And I don't think that they mean to do that, but they are. And look, I mean, if Keyshawn doesn't want to fight for world titles, sure, you don't have to, but I would like it if he fought for world titles, because I think he's a world champion guy. I mean, he is a world champion, a former world champion. I also don't think that he should move up to welterweight yet. I think that he just got to 140. There's no need to rush, unless he can't make the weight, but I seriously doubt that. So I don't know what is going on with Keyshawn. Meanwhile, the WBO president says, Keyshawn has done nothing officially with us to to make it clear that he wants to fight Devin Haney after he called him out. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's also because he just said he's not going to pay sanctioning fees. Granted, Devin Haney's going to. Devin Haney's a world champion. He's not going to fight you unless his title's on the line. So I don't think that fight is happening at all next. But I also hope that Keyshawn isn't completely Xing out the idea of fighting for a world championship because of the sanctioning fees. It's like, come on, this has always been a part of the game, and you want to retire having been a multi-division champion. And look, Shakur, maybe we don't know if Shakur defends that WBO 140 title next. If he vacates, you got an opening right there. Queensberry today announced that Nathaniel Collins and Cristobal Lorente are going to rematch in another WBC final eliminator for the featherweight title held by Shushu Carrington. And this is obviously a great fight. The first one was awesome. I thought Nathaniel Collins was unlucky not to get the decision there. I thought that he did beat Lorente, but we'll see. They're going to run it back on April 17th in Scotland. So Friday, literally the day before the Callum Smith, David Morrell fight. So really good weekend of fights for British boxing. Co-main event is going to be Aston Brown, who is a new Scottish level guy that they've got who's been putting on crazy knockouts recently. He's going to be fighting Sam Gilley, who, of course, is coming off the loss to Ishmael Davis, but that was a competitive fight mostly. And, I mean, him and Aston Brown is a really interesting matchmaking. That's stepping up Brown a lot and bringing Gilley down a little bit and saying, all right, let's see where you guys at. And, I mean, both those guys are really fun to watch. So I have no doubt that'll be a very, very exciting fight. And then you've also got Royston Barney-Smith, who's going to be challenging for the vacant British and Commonwealth Championship against Connor McIntosh, who's 10-2. I mean, I wasn't expecting them to give him a British title fight just yet, but that's awesome for him. Another British title fight on the card is Dylan Arbuckle versus Nico Lavars. Both these guys are undefeated, under 10 fights. Should be a really, really good card in Scotland. Marcus Sutherland as well is back. I don't know why, but Queensberry's events in Scotland are always so fun. They had 2 last year, and this is their first one this year, but there's always a lot of knockouts and exciting fights on them. So looking forward to that. PFL announced that they'll be back in Chicago on April 11th. Main event is going to be Sergio Pettis fighting Mitch McKee. So didn't know who Mitch McKee was. He's undefeated. I don't know if this is his PFL debut or not, but he's not in the top 10. Sergio Pettis is ranked number 1. I don't know why. I do not know why Pettis is not just fighting one of the guys in the top 5 for the vacant bantamweight championship. I really don't get it. I'm shocked that this is what they're doing. Because you've got so many guys at the top of bantamweight who don't have fights, like Marceli Alves is just one, who just won the tournament. I mean, that makes a lot of sense to have him fight Pettis for that vacant title. Just, I think the PFL should focus on crowning as many champions right now as they can, and they're not really doing that. But you know what? Whatever. Let's see how good Mitch McKee is. Sergio Pettis is on a great run. That big spinning elbow KO over Magomedov. So we'll see. Co-main event is going to be Jordan Newman versus Josh Silveira, which is a pretty fun co-main event. I won't lie. So PFL, that's going to be the third event within the span of 1 month. They got March 20th, March 28th, and April 11th. Yet again, going up with the UFC, going head-to-head with the UFC. This time they're going to go head-to-head with 327, which is a very, very bad idea, but do what you will. I like them going for Saturday night slots on ESPN. They're going to get a fair amount of viewership. But I wouldn't go head-to-head with the UFC pay-per-view. Speaking of UFC, their April 18th card the next week has apparently been moved from Ottawa to Winnipeg, Canada. Doesn't really affect anything. Apparently, announcements coming soon with the main event. Not sure what it is yet, but just interesting they're moving the city. So sorry to anybody who lived in Ottawa that was looking forward to getting another UFC card. Looks like you have to wait another handful of years. Moreno Fendero is going to be fighting Sean McCalman on March 5th on that on the Stephen Butler undercard. I did not know that they were pushing him like that. Sean McCalman only has 1 loss, and it's to one Diego Pacheco, and that was a close fight. So I don't know, dude. That's a really, really big step up for Fendero, and I'm a huge fan of him. He was getting so many good knockouts, and then his last fight, he stepped up in competition, went the distance. It wasn't the best fight to watch, and here he is and he didn't do great. Here he is against McCalman, which is a very big step up, and I think this should be a competitive fight. McCalman only is the 1 loss to Pacheco. So that should be really interesting. And then lastly, Golden Boy have signed, I think it was like a 3-time WBC amateur champion, Dylan Capetillo. So I guess he's supposed to be a big prospect out of Las Vegas. He was born there, saying they want to make him the first world champion. He's going to be making his debut on the March 14th card they have coming up. So, should be an interesting signing. Golden Boy doesn't make a ton of signings right now, so cool to see they've got a new prospect with them. That's all I've got for today. Hope everybody enjoys the weekend of fights. I cannot wait for Mario Barrios, Ryan Garcia. I'm picking Ryan Garcia, but, again, it's close. I really think this is a very close fight, and it's one that I have not been sure about who I was picking until this week, but I decided I'm going to go with King Ryan Garcia to get it done. Let's see. But thank y'all so much for listening, and peace out.